Hi everyone, Nathan here with ETC Cooling and Heating. Today we're going to talk about forced air zoning. In a perfect world with perfectly balanced ductwork, exactly equal solar loads, that's sunlight, at each wall of the house, and with all areas, let's say on the same floor, no intermittent heat loads from cooking in the kitchen or running a wood stove or a fireplace, well, in that case, no one would need zoning. But alas, this is not a perfect world. There are needs for zoning, and zoning can solve a lot of those issues. But before we go further, let's explain what is forced air zoning. So forced air zoning is a mechanical opening and closing of different sections of ductwork to direct conditioned air to the specific areas calling for heating or cooling. Either a sensor or a thermostat is used to sense and request the unit to send conditioned air to the affected zone. When done right, a zoning system can make it seem like the house has multiple heat pumps or furnaces, even though it may have just one. Every area is comfortable, but when done wrong, can really frustrate the owner with lots of duct noise, with overheating or overcooling some of the zones. It may even shorten the life of the equipment. Now, many of the potential problems of forced air zoning come from trying to force 100% of the furnace or heat pump's capacity down into just a small section of ductwork. I've written an example on the board, a 1200 CFM system, and we'll take a look at that in just a second. Now, in especially older systems, not well-designed systems, the furnace or heat pump comes on, makes all of its capacity, and then shoots it down one of those zones. To compensate, there will often be a barometric damper on the system, or maybe a dump zone in one of the main zones. Let's take a look at our example. Here we have a 3-ton 1200 CFM system. Let's say that thermostat number 2 calls for cooling, tells the zone controller. The zone controller opens the zone 2 zone damper while the other 2 zone dampers remain closed. Unit comes on, makes all 1200 CFM, comes down this line, and tries to squeeze it through a 300 CFM section of ductwork. 900 CFM just doesn't know where to go. And now it circulates across the bypass here and may overcool this coil, or the zone controller may decide to open another zone and dump out some extra cooling, which overcools that zone. Forced air zoning in this situation is really pretty primitive. If an HVAC contractor sold you one of these systems, let's say 20 years ago, you have my sympathies. Forced air zoning is not like hot water zoning. In hot water, usually the water goes exactly where you tell it to, and it doesn't complain. Hot water BTUs are well-behaved lemmings. They jump off a bridge if you told them to. But with forced air zoning, it's like herding cats into the bathtub. You might get one there eventually, but you're definitely going to pay a price. So how to fix this sort of a situation? Well, a half step is to install what's known as a 2-stage system, usually coupled with a variable speed air handler. The system can partially balance the output with the load. Let's look at the example again. Let's say this time zone 3 calls. Zone 3 is another 300 CFM zone. The unit comes on, but because it's 2-stage, it comes on at 60% or 720 CFM. So 720 CFM starts the system, 420, the difference, doesn't know where to go. It's a lot better, but it has the same problem as before, a little less severe. But the real solution is a true variable speed heat pump or AC with a modulating furnace or variable speed air handler. These systems all tie together, communicate together from the zone controller to the air handler to the outside unit. They all talk. The system can produce exactly the output needed for any zone or multiple zones that are calling for conditioned air. For example, a Trane XV18 heat pump, which is a really nice unit, adjusts its output from 25% to 100% and anywhere in between. At 25% in a 3-ton unit like we have here, the system makes 300 CFM. And I bet you can already see where this is going to work out. Zone 3 calls for heat, or cooling in this case. 300 CFM. We've already programmed the zone controller to know that zone 3 is 300 CFM. The outdoor unit comes on, 25% gives us 300 CFM. It's all perfectly balanced. No bypass, no dump zones, perfection. Such a system works fabulously well, and is really the only way I recommend doing forced air zoning. There are other ways to solve hot and cold spots in your house, than zoning, but a well-designed zone system is a great tool to use. This brings up a good point. When it comes time to replace your heating and cooling system, don't just slap in whatever was there before. Instead, have a knowledgeable HVAC company custom design a system that meets the needs of your building and your lifestyle. Given that HVAC systems can last 20 years or more, most homeowners will ever only buy 1 or 2 systems in their life. So make sure yours counts. Now, if my team at ATC can help you with anything HVAC, just check us out at atcservice.com. Thanks so much for watching.